Hi, everyone. I'm Vidal Mendez, your student assistant for engagement here at Georgia Tech for the MSA program. And welcome to episode 2 of MSA Alumni Spotlight. Today, I'm here joined with Chris Mast, CEO and founder of Lean Basketball Analytics and also a GT alum. Right. Let's start off with the basics. Where are you based now, and what is your current job title and company?
First, thank you very much for having me here. I'm Chris Mast, CEO and founder of Lean Basketball Analytics, and I'm based right here in Atlanta.
So, your work sits at the fascinating intersection of sports and data. How do you use analytics and data science in your everyday work?
So the biggest thing that I do is to help coaches drive decisions using data. So I have a patented platform that coaches can log into, and with that information, they can strategize, right? Um, so not only the platform though, but I work with coaches personally on a consulting level. So I parse through the data with them. I have scripts, that I run that help me figure out the best, course of strategy for a coaching staff. And it's not just coaches too. So recently, right before March Madness, actually, I launched the AI bracket calculator. And with that, that is something that fans used to help track their picks or make their picks, excuse me, and help fill out their brackets.
So you're clearly passionate about both sports and analytics. What's the most rewarding part of combining those two in your current role?
So there's two very rewarding parts. The first part is that when coaches have their aha moment, so when they're parsing through the data or I'm consulting with them and helping them understand, and then it just clicks. And it's that moment, that is extremely rewarding, that they can kind of see and envision what their strategy is going to change or how it's going to change, for like the next game. The other really rewarding part is of working with coaches is having them win, right? And not to say that analytics is the direct cause of this, but certainly it plays a role. So recently I worked with Presbyterian Women's, and that is head coach Sharp and assistant coach Johnson. And they achieved, Presbyterian Women's is the smallest D1 school. And they won their conference championship, and they made it to March Madness before losing to the eventual South Carolina champions. At which point, Coach Sharp actually got a new head coaching job at a bigger school, and Coach Johnson also got a new head coaching role. And so it's seeing analytics, help out and help these coaches achieve their goals. That's very rewarding.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That's pretty cool. So as you know, the GTMSA is required to do practicum projects. Can you talk about the project that you did?
Right. So right before I graduated, I did a project with the Phoenix Suns, analyzing lineup data. And it was actually in the context of my own startup as well. So it was a really cool collaboration to work on it with them. Yeah.
So LBA has sponsored multiple MSA practicum projects in the past. Can you share one of them?
Yeah. The first project that I sponsored for the MSA cohort was expected points per shot. So this was for Lean Basketball Analytics. And as soon as a game ends, this code runs and it calculates, retroactively, what was the probability of this shot going in. And with that, right, we can get expected points per shot. And it's through this, this algorithm that my users, my coaches, are able to gauge, high quality shots, or low quality shots. And we are able to implement this, directly into, their coaching strategy. And so it's a really, I've talked about this with the students, and it was a very rewarding project for them, to know that their work is affecting coaches, around the globe.
Now on to our last and final question. What's one unique skill that you learned from the MSA program that you didn't expect to get from starting the program?
So it was a class, it was a data visualization class. And I remember it like, on a high level, it was what are the best practices, for data visualization and, disseminating information, like efficiently, to stakeholders or whomever. And it was through that class that, I was able to save a ton of time, in the future, knowing, that this type of data matches with this type of visualization, and so, moving forward, working for the Hawks, for example, right? Like I knew exactly how to, give this information to my training staff, and frankly now, with Lean Basketball Analytics, it's reporting, right? And again, disseminating that information, in a very functional, usable way. But it was through that class, and I did not expect that, going into it.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me here today on our second episode of MSA Alumni Spotlight.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.